who make the games that we play to care about it and to not gut the things that make it good and to not add in things that we don't want. I just want you to make a good game that prioritizes players. That's what all of the community discord at this point has been in the Sims community. And this whole thing with EA doesn't make it any better. It actually makes it worse. Oh, if we thought the community was fractured before, it's going to be fractured after this. All I want is to be able to play a game that is fun, that I care about, and that what you want is that cares about me back. I want the game to care about me back. I want the people who make the game to care about me back. And what I'm concerned about in the long term is that I'm going to love something that cannot and will not love me back. Obviously, The Sims was never going to love me back because it was always owned by a corporation that was more interested in making sure the shareholders got their profits, right? Like, that has been the tension this whole time playing this game with DLC after DLC after DLC. We all know that. I have always, with my maybe unfounded millennial optimism, been like, it'll get better, y'all. And some people are like, no, it won't, you dumb idiot. And some people are like, yeah, I agree. We've been fighting. But right now, I'm like, ah. And they're like, don't you feel stupid? I'm like, a little bit. Hey, y'all. Welcome back to my channel, vstreetlove. I'm Vanessa. My pronouns are she, her. And on this channel, I like to make silly Sims videos, which does make this awkward because today we are talking about the whole news around EA. We're going to take a look at some links together. I'm going to be sharing some opinions and thoughts, and we'll just see. We'll just see what this means to the best of our ability. Okay, what's the long and short of it? The board of directors specifically of EA have agreed to sell the company to private equity firms to basically make the company go from being publicly traded on the stock market to being privately owned. And let's start actually by reading the AP news article, just because I think that that's, news outlet that can help us understand what the information means. Well, I have several links pulled up in case I want to reference them in this conversation, but let's get started. All right, so video gamer Electronic Arts to be bought in largest ever private equity buyout valued at $55 billion US. Electronic Arts, the maker of video games like Madden NFL, Battlefield, and The Sims, is being acquired by an investor group including Saudi Arabia's Sovereign Wealth Fund and the largest private equity funded buyout in history. The investors, who also include a firm managed by Jared Kushner, President Donald Trump's son-in-law, and the private equity firm Silver Lake Partners, valued the deal at $55 billion. PIF, which was currently the largest insider stakeholder in Electronic Arts, will be rolling over its existing 9.9% investment in the company. The commitment to the massive deal is in line with recent activity in the gaming sector by the Saudi fund, wrote Andrew Maroke of Raymond James. PIF is also a minority investor in Nintendo. The deal needs approval from national security regulators on the Committee on Foreign Investment, given that the Saudis were involved, but there are plenty of reasons to expect it will go through. Not only does Trump's son-in-law want to do the deal, but the president could also be inclined to look favorably on any Saudi investment because he has benefited directly from their spending. The U.S. agency leading the Foreign Investment Committee, the Treasury Department, did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the potential conflicts of interest. Kushner, the CEO of Affinity Partners, said, "I've admired EA's ability to create iconic, lasting experiences, and as someone who grew up playing their games and now enjoys them with his kids, I couldn't be more excited about what lies ahead." I'm sorry, that just kind of took the wind out of me. Whoa! I did not need to read that. There's just certain things I don't need to see. There's certain things I don't need to read. This is from EA itself. So, it's just like reeking with just corporate nonsense, language, and bias. All right. But I just want to see what they say. So they confirmed, they announced the agreement to be acquired by the Saudis, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners, which is Jared Kushner. Okay. So it says, under the terms of the agreement, the consortium will acquire 100% of EA, with PIF rolling over its existing 9.9% stake in the company. Let's see, anything else? The transaction represents the largest all-cash sponsored take private investment in history, with the consortium partnering closely with EA to enable the company to move faster and unlock new opportunities on a global stage. Our creative and passionate teams at EA have delivered extraordinary experiences for hundreds of millions of fans, but some of the world's built some of the world's most iconic IP and created significant value for our business. This moment is a powerful recognition of their remarkable work, said Andrew Wilson, chairman and CEO of EA, which I have opinions on, but like I said, I'll get to that in a moment. All right, well, that's about as much as the press release as I need in this moment. So we can jump into this Reuters article. Can you get into reading mode? Yes, you can. Okay. Basically, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund, Jared Kushner's Affinity partners, and private equity firm Silver Lake came together to buy the popular video game maker with a combination of $36 billion in cash, equity already held by PIF, $20 billion in debt financed by JP Morgan. For PIF, Saudi Arabia's $1 trillion wealth fund, the investment is a massive opportunity to push ahead with efforts to become a global hub for gamers and sports as it bets on the enduring value of blockbuster game franchises as the industry recovers from a prolonged downturn. The take private offer comes at a crucial time for EA, which is banking heavily on its core sports portfolio and action shooter intellectual property to weather a sluggish video game industry as gamers get picky with spending. The financial backing and resources of the investor consortium should enable EA to increase its focus on long-term growth opportunities that may have been viewed as too risky or expensive as a public company. I don't know what that means. I don't know enough about business to know what it means when they keep saying, oh, they can focus on things that might be too risky. Like, what does that mean? The transaction is expected to close in the first quarter of fiscal year 2027. Fiscal year 2027 starts in June 2026, I think. Okay, so then there's this article from Riyadh to Silicon Valley, how EA became the jewel of Saudi Arabia's gaming vision. PIF will end up as EA's majority shareholder, while Kushner's private equity fund partners will own 5%. Durbin, the co-CEO of Silver Lake, added that EA was special and said the consortium will invest heavily to grow the business worldwide to accelerate innovation. This isn't just about a spreadsheet deal. It's Saudi Arabia buying time, talent, and cultural clout in one shot, backed by a government that has earmarked $38 billion for games and sees interactive entertainment as both soft power and long-run monetization. As part of that goal, the almost $1 trillion public investment fund has made major outlays in video game publishers in recent years through its Savvy Games Group. The investments, including a stake in Call of Duty maker Activision Blizzard and holdings of about 4% in Nintendo and 6% in Take-Two Interactive, are part of the Kingdom Saudi Vision 2030 plan to diversify away from oil by pouring billions of dollars in other sectors. So there's this Reddit post that was made, and there's some people's comments here. So someone said, so this is why Adventure Awaits was on a rush release schedule and the roadmap is fixes. I'm going to say no. And then someone else says, unfortunately, this was in the cards for EA to be bought out and privatized. From 2023 to this year, EA has laid off 1,900 workers. Now, this is not factual. I would have to go back and cross-check and double-check the information that's being shared here, right? Which I haven't done. I'm just looking at a Reddit post. So you, who is watching this as well, I implore you to go out and double-check the numbers and the things yourself. I feel like Reddit is what Wikipedia used to be. So when Wikipedia first came on the scene, all the teachers were like, don't trust Wikipedia, do your own research, okay? And now, more or less, Wikipedia is a pretty, good start if you're trying to get an understanding of information. Reddit now, I feel like a teacher, don't trust Reddit, go do your own research. But like more often than not, Reddit can be a good place to start getting some terms, start getting some ideas, and then moving forward by cross-checking. So I just saw this in the Sims 4 subreddit, and so we're just talking. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. Okay, anyway, having been through a buyout as an employee in tech, but not games specifically, this doesn't leave me feeling optimistic. That's what that person says. Oh, right. And then I was saying, unfortunately, it was in the cards to be bought out. From 2023 to this year, EA has laid off 1,900 workers, with BioWare being the biggest target, major restructurings, and scrap projects. EA just took the most lucrative deal because that's how it goes down in the business world. Maxis is not coming back, so don't pine your hopes that they'll break away. The studio sold in 1997 to EA. It is now a subsidiary, and unless investors gut EA's acquired studios, they are staying with EA. And the Saudi PIF has stakes in Uber, Capcom, Boeing, Meta, Citigroup, Bank of America, BP, Activision Blizzard, Nintendo, Heathrow Airport, and Disney. Silver Lake has invested in Klarna, Airbnb, Expedia, and Twitter X. And someone else said something that I kind of thought was interesting down here. This is really what I need to cross-reference. I'm an accountant, and I specifically have worked with acquisitions in software field. I love Reddit because you can just say you're anybody, and I just have to believe you. I also just went and took a cursory read through the most recent annual SEC filing with EA, but basically I'd expect the player impact to be minimal. The Saudi company is one owner, which was my first red flag. An acquisition this big, going from public to private, is going to have some approvals. There's no way it would get approval if the majority ownership wasn't going to remain in the US, because the US government would throw a fit. I can see specifically listed on their filing, The Sims is one of their 3 biggest revenue drivers, along with NFL games and Apex Legends. In other words, new ownership isn't going to be like, hey, we don't like money. You'll likely see some changes down the road, but I expect that it would be at least a year from now, as the acquisition hasn't even been completed or gotten through the regulatory hurdles. And then what I would expect is for new management to come in and look at what's not making money and cancel those projects. Hint, it's probably not going to be The Sims. They don't say probably, but I say probably. If you're basically like, what's the big whoop? It's basically just 2 major things I have seen, at least. What this means for diversity and representation in the game because of Saudi Arabia's, values in that, part of the world, in that country, in respect to things like transgender folks and gay and lesbian folks, right? Of which I fall in the category of LGBTQ, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. Conservative values, and just how culturally there has been a big push to just drive over the very few strides that we have made, at least in America, for trying to increase and stand on business when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. There's been so many rollbacks of that recently. And I think the understanding of these companies, what they represent, what they invest in, the private equity firms specifically that are purchasing EA, there's just a lot of concern around what agenda they're about to push. That's what it comes down to. What is the agenda about to be pushed when this deal inevitably goes through? And where does that leave us as players? Another part that's been happening, or I've been seeing this conversation online, is like, okay, do I want to be spending money on products from a company that is interested in rolling back pushing conservative values that support the dehumanization of someone like me? I'm not me, vstreetlove, me like you, the player, right? There's definitely been an anti-woke agenda that has been just marching its way towards pop culture, laws. We got anti-woke in the White House. And so it's just a lot of cause for concern. And when I first heard this news yesterday, and at the time of me recording this, frankly, I hadn't even gotten that far. Frankly, I was more so like, are you kidding me? Corporate nonsense. My first thought was just like, oh, here we go. I have a corporate day job. In case you don't know, this is not my full-time gig. One day, I hope that something related to this could be my full-time gig. Maybe, if all things don't, fall apart. That being said, I understand corporate nonsense. My personal experience with corporate nonsense left me feeling like the game that I have known and loved, and that I recently just made a video about how I don't want to go anywhere, is probably going to be going somewhere sooner than I would have liked to admit. And not in the way that I would have liked as well. As much as people want to say that we need a Sims 5 and we don't need a Sims 4 and blah, 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 blah. As much as people are doing that, this is not how I wanted The Sims to go out at all. At all. And, it's news to me that that the Saudi Arabian PIF, had any investment in EA already. That was news to me. And still, I do think that there are some differences between having a 9.9% stake in a company and partnering up with some folks to buy it out. Those are different. Like I said, as much as people want to say that they wanted to see the end of The Sims 4, I doubt that anybody really wanted to see it end like this. Some people are now calling for things like a boycott, or they are no longer playing The Sims 4 or any games that EA is currently putting out. They are officially separating ties with the direction of where the company is going. They're taking a stand. And I commend anybody who has decided that they're not going to continue to play the game because that's just what feels right for them. I actually don't blame anybody and how they react to this news and what they decide that they're going to do with their time and with their dollar. Whether it's wait and see, whether they're just like, well, this is my favorite game and it doesn't matter what happens, I'm going to play. Whether it's I am not going to play, period, point blank, period, and EA will never see another dime or anything out of me. I'm going to go ahead and remove the games from my computer right now. I don't blame anybody because at this point, this news is so fresh. Like I said, in real time, this was announced yesterday. We are all still reacting and processing our feelings. And like I said, the people who work for EA, the people who work on the Sims team, I still extend my I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Not even condolences because that sounds so dramatic, but just like I'm feeling anxious from the outside. I can only imagine the people who are actually directly impacted and affected in that way feel. I just play the game. Obviously, at the time of me recording this, I'm streaming. I'm streaming right now and I'm planning to play the game after. But it feels weird. It's just a weird feeling. It's the fun out of the room. Something that's just supposed to be fun for us to go and just kind of like exhale when life pressures are putting us down. It's like, even that isn't sacred. My reaction is frustration, feeling like corporate nonsense seems to permeate every aspect of my life right now between my corporate day job and now just corporate nonsense with the game that I'm supposed to play to get away from my corporate day job. I'm just like, yeah. But then also just feeling like reminding myself that on some levels, it was always like this, right? EA has always been a corporation. And the entire time that I played The Sims 4 on this channel, EA was always doing corporate nonsense, corporate. The bottom line for me is like, we actually don't know what this is going to mean for The Sims and other related games. It doesn't even seem like they care about The Sims. That's not necessarily why they purchased the game. They purchased the game for the sports portfolio and the sports games portfolio. We just happen to be like a victim of circumstance as Sims players. And so we don't know what this is going to mean. We don't know where this is going to lead. We don't know what this is going to do. If you want to figure out maybe good ideas of what could happen, if you look at the other investments that these investment firms have made and see what the impacts are, maybe you have some more information to share with me about that. And I would love to hear it in the comments. But right now, we actually don't know. You can make your decision on how you're going to move. But for me, I'm just like, I'm going to wait and see because I'm like, I can't even feign outrage. I didn't know that the Saudi Arabian PIF was even involved in EA at this point. Already had almost 10% ownership of the company. This might be a controversial take, but this is what I've been thinking about since I kind of like heard the news. I freaked out a little bit in the Discord yesterday. I was freaking out all day yesterday. I was freaking out a little bit today. Where I'm sitting is, I don't think it's warranted right now to be concerned about any changes with The Sims. We're so far from what the impact of that could even be at this point. It is a good time, I would say, if you are concerned with the potential future of this game, it might be a good time to start poking around other games. I'm not saying give up The Sims. I'm saying start poking around at other games. Whatever you want from The Sims, see if you can start getting that in any sort of way with other games. If you feel like you're the person who might move in the direction of not playing, depending on how this all shakes out, now is the time to start preparing for if you think that there is a potential for The Sims to not be in your life. Just start poking around. That being said, I feel like I'm already just mourning and just so personally, just because I'm like, I love The Sims so much that I started a YouTube channel about it. You know, like I'm just like, what? This is not how this was supposed to go. So I don't know what I'm going to do. And I reserve my right to change my mind. That's another thing. You guys are not going to have me committing whatever I feel right now into freaking stone. Absolutely not. And I say the same for you as well. If you're not sure what to do, that is okay right now. The news just broke freaking yesterday. Take a little bit of time to decide what you're going to do, if anything, right now with the information that we have right now. That's where I'm at. And some other people, I have seen other creators, I've seen other folks, firm lines in the sand. Like you're either with the people or you're against the people over this. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not how I'm looking at this at all. I'm not looking at it like that. I respect whatever people need to do. Take some of your power back from these powerful folks and these corporations and whatever. Somebody even shared with me that they started a change.org petition. I'm not officially endorsing or not endorsing, but I am sharing that somebody started a change.org petition about, protecting the Sims in this acquisition. If you're interested in going to look up more information about that. So yeah, just right now, people are just kind of like, I think people are just kind of freaking out. And I'm not saying that it is unjust. I think rightfully so, people are freaking out. But I just think it's just too early to tell what's going to happen. But I don't think I can be surprised if something kind of like the worst comes to worst happens. We can't be surprised. What happens if nothing changes with The Sims? What happens if things go more or less as anticipated? They don't roll back diversity efforts. They don't roll back inclusion efforts. They kind of keep chugging along as is. The bugs get fixed. They come out with interesting DLC. What happens then for you? Does that change anything for you? I think it's very easy to prepare for the worst. Like the game won't be here this time next year, or it won't be the game that I remember. But what if it is the game that you remember? What if it's better and it's owned by these folks that we just read? What does that mean for you too? Don't just prepare for the worst. Prepare for what the best case scenario is in that situation. You said, yeah, you're worried about the community fracturing at this point. Yeah, I'm worried about how it's going to fracture the community. Our community was held together by tape and floss. I believe this is one of those reasons they're pushing as many updates as they are to cover us, just in case a future budget does get affected. And that's my other thought. Again, I don't know these folks. I don't know this company. I don't know nothing. I'm going based off my experience in corporate. So I could be way off here. I would venture and guess that whoever is deciding all of this around the updates and whatnot, the way that they're doing the content release, I'm going to guess that at least the lowly people who were working on stuff didn't even know about this, right? Like there are some things that you're planning on doing for so long, like the Sims team has probably been planning on doing for at least a year to 2 years at this point, that like in between recent calls of just people being really, 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 really frustrated with the game, that at least the lowly level folks, I don't think they even knew what was happening. And maybe there are some higher level people in the EA, in the Sims team or whatever, who maybe knew on like a need to know basis, because once you have to start pulling like reports and things like that for people, like you may have known something was happening and how much you may not have, but I don't even know all of this speculation, like, oh, this is why, this is happening this way. Like, to be perfectly frank, there was a leak. There was a leak of the roadmap. Why the Sims team never officially released like a real content release roadmap, I don't know, but I would venture it's because of how frustrated the community is with all the bugs. So it seems like they pivoted to be more focused on fixing the game, but it's not like they're not releasing Adventure Awaits. That's still coming out, and that was on the original leaked roadmap. So and they even said in their little quality of life roadmap that we're going to get another kit. I mean, I think next week. So it's not like they're not selling people stuff. It's just the way that they're talking about how they're selling us stuff is different. And that, I think, is from community pressure. I don't think that has anything to do with the deal. Again, these are my personal opinions. I don't know those folks. Wasn't there also talk about Sims taking a break? Take a break. So, Karis, the thing about that rumor is it came from Sematically, I'm pretty sure, on Twitter, amongst maybe other folks. The rumor was that it's a curtain call right now. After Adventure Awaits, is going to be a pause in releasing content. And you got to wonder if that's a coincidence, or like someone else pointed out in the chat, if somebody higher up knew and they were giving directives, but the Sims team or people lower on the Sims team didn't know. You know what I mean? Like they're like, well, we were told that there's going to be a break for a little bit while we focus on fixing the game. And they're like, finally, because the players have been cussing us out, but they don't know that that person's boss and that person's boss and that person's boss knew that they were in talks to sell the company. I don't know. Oh my gosh. It's really sad because the Sims team is finally addressing updates and bugs we need addressed and introducing cool new stuff. And I personally don't think that's going to stop for the next 6 to 8 months. The Sims is not their most valuable or most profitable asset or whatever. I think that's a little bit of a misnomer in the Sims community. We think because the Sims itself has like very much like it's a legendary IP that it brings them so much money, but like it's not their most revenue driving asset. I think it's like the second or third most revenue driving asset. Yeah, top 3, but not number 1, So that's another thing to consider is that they're not buying EA for the Sims. They're buying EA for other things. And like, it's a plus that they get the Sims. Absolutely. But I just I also want to clarify that we are not the cake. We're the icing on the cake, but we're not the cake. The Sims 4 is a global game, which means its reach is global, which means that the influence that whoever owns it is a global influence. So that's why I'm like, the Sims, we are just, unfortunately, I feel like we are a casualty in all of this. You know, I don't know how future layoffs to help pay down that debt will impact EA, which will then in turn impact what can or cannot be done for EA's games, which then impacts us as far as protecting the culture of the team that the Sims team has built at EA. As far as, I mean, even just understanding anything about the Sims team, they are just diverse when it comes to gender expression and that sort of thing. They protect that. I feel like that's sacred to them. I don't know how that's going to shake out, which will then definitely impact the game, because the game is kind of like a reflection of that priority from them. So yeah, so all that to say, I think my closing thoughts on this is I love The Sims in the life genre category. I have loved all of the impact. I love how it was a pioneer in the category and it created a certain space that has not been often imitated, never duplicated, okay, type shit. We do have games coming forward soon that are trying to at least create space for that. Hopefully that could create maybe a soft landing zone for some of us who are just kind of nervous about what this means for The Sims. That being said, me personally, right now, based on the information I have right now, I'm in my wait and see era. I have made the decision at this point, and it can change because I'm a person that can change my bleep mind, to continue to play The Sims 4 on my channel, because I don't know. I don't know how this shakes out in the long run. I'm gonna keep playing the game though. I respect it if that means that you, who's watching, decides like, I'm not gonna be involved with anything to do with this vstreetlove channel. I'm done with this for now or for a while or whatever. Like I like I said, I respect it. I can't hold you to any specific standard that I create, just like I don't want to be held to whatever standard you create for yourself, right? Like if it means that you can't engage with me or what I'm doing, I understand. But where I'm at right now, I'm playing The Sims 4. I need The Sims 4. I'm doing Sims 4 stuff. And the future of my channel, you know, I don't know what that looks like. I will just share candidly with you all that I had always planned on incorporating more games to my channel. That was part of my whole thing of getting a PC. Eventually, I was going to expand into other games. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, well, I guess people will now not hold it against me when they start seeing other things on the channel. No one's going to be like, why is she playing something else besides The Sims? The intro is going to stop looking like, I make silly Sims videos, and start looking more like, I play games. I play silly games. I'm anxious, but there's no tangible anything. I have a headline, and the headline reads that the board of directors approved the sale. That's the headline. The headline is not diversity is being removed from The Sims. The headline is not The Sims is ending. The headline is not The Sims as we know it is dead. That is not the headline. The headline is these special investors have taken a special interest, and people have signed some paperwork. We don't know what comes next. And I think for right now, that has to give me a sense of peace, because they have not said anything is changing. It's just an exhale of like, raising a red flag on who's about to take over this game, giving me and you space to decide what we're going to do about that. And then we will act accordingly. But right now, we just don't know. Let me know what you all think. Let me know if you found out any other information that would be relevant to me or other players that you want to share in the comments. Please keep it respectful in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it. I would say, don't worry, I've got more silly Sims videos, but depending on who you are, you don't want to know that. Either way, I've got more videos on my channel that you can check out here. And until next time, y'all, dag dag.